Turn with me, if you would, to Exodus. Exodus chapter 16. I'm going to read 3 verses. Exodus 16, verse 1 through 3. And it reads as follows. And they journeyed from Elim, all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month. Oh, I hope you're hearing me, church. On the 15th day of the second month, after they departed from the land of Egypt. Then the whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against their leadership. The same leadership that helped usher them out, they're now complaining against. Somebody say the same leadership. The whole congregation of the children of Israel. I'm talking about Israel, y'all. Don't nobody get upset. The whole congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. Somebody say in the wilderness. Verse 3. And the children of Israel said to them, "Oh, that we had died by the hand of the Lord in Egypt. When we sat by the pots of meat." Now this is one of them times where I need the King James Version, because the King James Version says the flesh pots. When we sat by the flesh pots, and when we ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. You brought us out of Egypt, but we was comfortable by the flesh pots to starve us out here in the wilderness. Can I jump right into it? Watch this. Departure from a place doesn't dislodge the psyche of it. Without question, God is able to grant exodus from Egypt and the likes of Egypt. And so the likes of Egypt are like this because Egypt means double straights. So God is able to deliver you out of duplicity. Okay. God is able to deliver you out of pride. God is able to bring you out of bondage. Somebody say he's able. So he's able to deliver you from Egypt and the likes of Egypt, yet and still. Here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, we have to break camp in our own consciousness. We have to, come on somebody, we got to break camp in our own consciousness. What good is an exodus if bondage retains its emotional residence? So a lot of us are not in bondage in Egypt, but we're in bondage in our consciousness. And so God has delivered you from sin, but you can't stop thinking about it. God has delivered some of us from lust, but you can't stop thinking about how it used to feel. Some of us have been delivered from addiction, but we can't just seem to forget about how it used to feel. Some of us have been delivered from abusive situations, but we just can't seem to let go of the person. God has delivered many of us, but we're not thinking about deliverance. We're thinking about what we're dealing with. Oh, God. Are you with me so far? Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, deliverance is quite participatory. I think sometimes when we say God delivered me, we want him to do everything and us to do nothing. But deliverance is participatory. When God delivers you, you got to stay free. Never mind. You have to stay free in your mind. Because God will bring you out of a situation. Say amen, Israel. God will bring you out of a place of bondage. But you've got to do the work on the inside. You've got to do the work because it's easy to walk away from certain situations physically. It's a whole nother thing to stay away from it psychologically. This is a mind thing that we're in now. Because we've heard about word and we need to hear it. Word about deliverance. And we're wondering, I've heard about being delivered, but I still feel in bondage. I left town, but I'm still dealing with the stronghold. I left one abusive person and I was attracted to another abusive person. I left one toxic situation, but my attraction brought me right back, not to the same person, but to the same spirit. And some of us are addicted to abuse. And some of us are just too familiar with the former things. We're too familiar with the former things. We become common with them. Stay with me. You know I got to take you on the scenic route. Because that's what God did. Oh, y'all don't believe me. Y'all think I'm just talking. Watch this. Exodus 13:17. Exodus 13:17. That's all right. Exodus 13:17 says this: the Lord didn't lead them by the land of the Philistines. Let me say it again. The Lord did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, though it was near. The Lord, say the Lord. The Lord didn't lead them by the way of the land of Philistines, though it was near, saying, lest perhaps the people change their minds. I don't know if you're getting this shit. Lest perhaps the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. Stay with me right here. God knew they were lacking intestinal fortitude. He knew they were lacking intestinal fortitude. I hope you stay with me. Sometimes God takes us the long way around because the direct way would have been a dead end. Let me say it again. Sometimes God takes us the long way around because he knows the direct way would have been a dead end. Watch this. Some of you ought to celebrate God because the delay saved your life. You were thinking that things were taking too long, and God was like, I have to take you a longer way around because truth be told, you don't have the stomach for war. And you're saying, come on, anybody can be real with me. I know you say sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, running for Jesus all your life, and you ain't tired yet. But if you could be honest, with me, sometimes you feel like God is taking too long. Okay, I'm only talking to the people that's going to be real in here. Sometimes, anybody ever felt like God, maybe you didn't say it like I'm saying it, but anybody just felt that God was taking too long? Anybody think that the promises should have happened by now? Anybody can be honest and know that God just brought you out of a situation, but you still ain't satisfied. The text tells us something particular. It says it was 1 month After the 15th, so a month ago, Passover happened. A month ago, a crossover happened. And the children of Israel, the congregation of Israel, came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 1 month removed from Passover. And here we are, upset with God. Upset with God because of what we're dealing with now, and all we can think about is what we're used to instead of what he's trying to bring us to. Because what we're used to is the only thing that we have to reference. And because of what we're used to, at least we know what that is. Because uncertainty bends a whole lot of people out of faith. You can say amen if you don't want to, but it's true anyhow. You can hush if you want to, but it's true anyhow. So sometimes God takes us a long way around because the direct way would have been a dead end. It's taking this long. It's taking this long because some of us really don't have the stomach for war. He knew they didn't have intestinal fortitude. He knew they didn't have the stomach for war. All right, follow me here. Intestinal distress. I got some medical folks in here. They're going to say amen. Intestinal distress can be the cause or the product of anxiety. I said intestinal distress. I hope y'all hear what I'm saying. Intestinal distress can be the cause or the product of anxiety. You don't think they're feeling a little anxious right now in the wilderness? Anybody been in the wilderness and start feeling a little anxious because you don't know where you are? You know you're not where you were, but you don't know where you are. Let me say it again. You know you're not where you were, but you don't know where you are. There's a whole lot of people in this walk of faith that know they're not where they were, but they don't know where they are. And it's stressful when you're moving and you don't know where you're going. It can be stressful when you're moving and you know where you're going. But when you don't know where you're going, it's another layer. If we can be for real, it's another layer of stress. So anxiety, stress, and even depression, to be honest with you. Real talk, watch this. There's a gut-brain connection. I'm talking literal and figurative and spiritual here, but hear me on the literal side. There's a gut-brain connection. You ever had a gut-wrenching experience? What you were going through tightened you up. It made you tense. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody ever had butterflies in their stomach? Get a little nervous around certain people. Get a little nervous in certain situations. Why is it that something I'm thinking about is registering in my gut? I'm so nervous in my mind that my stomach is acting up. It's intestinal distress. Okay. I'm so stressed out about what I'm going through, I'm sick to my stomach. Oh, come on. Am I talking to anybody in the house? Anybody been going through some stuff? It ain't what you fed yourself, or so you think. But what you're going through has you sick to your stomach. Anybody ever felt nauseous because of where you were? Okay. I just thought I'd bring it down to earth for you real quick. That makes sense. Listen to this. 1 month removed from the Exodus, the whole congregation of Israel raises complaints. 1 month. 1 month. 30 days. It ain't been a whole season yet. You talking about some whatever God is doing in this next season, you can't get through this one. Lord, whatever you're doing in this in this season. You talking about next season. No, what's happening in this season that's stressing us out? That's letting the uncertainties that are going to happen disrupt us. That is going to cause us to have upset stomachs. Just wondering. The whole congregation of Israel, verse 2, the whole congregation of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. Somebody say in the wilderness. Listen to this. Complaining can be an Achilles heel to an enduring faith walk. Complaining, amen, I'm going to say it again because I was asked to. I like to be responsible. I'm going to say it again. Complaining can be an Achilles heel to an enduring faith walk. Wait a minute, though. Can I be real for a second? Some folks say, I won't complain. I ain't one of them. I will. Some folks be like, I won't complain. I ain't one of y'all. I will. To an extent. To an extent. Sometimes it's necessary to complain, if you will. Now, let me give you a definition. By definition, complaining is an expression of dissatisfaction. Has anybody expressed dissatisfaction to God? Okay. We're not going to call it complaining because you don't like that. Because you don't complain. You express dissatisfaction. It sounds better, don't it? And some people are like, well, I wasn't complaining, I was venting. Well, got you covered. Venting is the expression of a strong emotion, and most times it's based on when you're not satisfied. So you've been complaining or venting. So if you haven't been complaining or venting, perhaps this message isn't for you. But if you be honest with yourself, sometimes we find ourselves complaining about our situation. Sometimes we find ourselves venting about our situation. And I'm here to help some folks out. It's okay to an extent. You understand what I'm saying? Truth be told, venting happens. And sometimes it's a necessary detox. Somebody say, get it out your system. If you know something has upset your stomach and it's trying to come up, are you going to try and bring it back down or are you going to let it out? Okay. We need to stop acting like everything that happens to us doesn't upset our stomach. Sometimes there's some stuff that happens to you and it upsets your stomach. It's giving you some issues. It's making you nauseous. It's like you've been through gut-wrenching experiences. You sick to your stomach. And if you don't let it out, it could kill you. I'm personally glad that I have some folks that I can call that let me vent and then push me right back into ministry. I hope that you have somebody that you can call and vent to, and then they push you. They don't let you stay there, but they go ahead, get it out your system. Come on, ladies. When you used to go out to the club, I know none of y'all do that now. There's too much stuff out there. You know, if your girlfriend had a little bit too much, what you do? She goes to that porcelain throne. What you do? You pull her hair back so that she don't get none of it on her hair. Come on, none of y'all women ever did that. Had to pull your girlfriend hair back and go, let it go, girl. And what did you do? You can't help her. All you can do is rub her on the back. Go ahead. Purge. Hey, Shata, you wasn't speaking in no tongues. But what did you say? Get it out your system. It's upsetting your stomach. It's causing you, it's not sitting well with you because it didn't belong in you in the first place. But it got there. See, what we need to stop doing is acting like stuff don't get to us. I can't stand these Christians that act like stuff don't get to them. You a lie. You a liar. You ain't, just because you don't say nothing to nobody don't mean it ain't getting to you. That's why you're behind stuck in the cave thinking you all by yourself. And isolation isn't going to do anything but incubate pride. It's not going to do anything but incubate self-sabotage. Isn't that what the man of God wanted to do? He wanted to kill himself. That's what it was. because he isolated himself, because he felt alone. I'm not telling you how to feel. I'm saying when you feel a certain way, you've got to recognize it so you can do something about it. And so some people that have been upset by things that have happened to them simply because they're not used to it. If we don't clear it out of our systems, it will clog, corrode, and corrupt our thinking. Here's the key. We cannot allow a fed up moment to become a frequent mindset. Let me walk that one real slow. We cannot allow a fed up moment to become a frequent mindset. Make no mistake, anything frequent is susceptible to becoming fixed. Anything that is frequent is susceptible to becoming fixed. So if you keep frequently complaining, it's a good chance it's going to become fixed complaining. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Israel was physically delivered, but they hadn't dislodged psychologically. Per the text, because I got to give you where this come from, per the text, complain in the Hebrew is pronounced loon. And that's what complaining will do to you. It will make you Looney Tunes. Anyway. But the Hebrew word is loon. But loon doesn't mean what you think it means. Not when you first look at the definition, because you're like, complaining, I know what complaining is. Anybody know what complaining is? Anybody know what venting is? But do you know what complaining in the text is saying? Complaining in the text means to lodge. It means to lodge, to stop, usually overnight, to abide. Hold on, you see the tenure getting longer? To lodge, to stop, usually overnight. We've been made to do it for a night, usually overnight. You're going to complain, but joy better be there in the morning, because it's there if you remember whose presence you're in. But usually overnight, but figuratively it means to abide. By implication, are you hearing me? By implication, to stay permanently. Hence, in a negative sense, to be obstinate. In other words, stubborn. Especially in words, to complain. The issue wasn't the complaining. The issue was that the complaining took residence. If you would let joy come in the morning, it couldn't stay there. If you didn't let the sun set on your anger, it couldn't have stayed there. But you wasn't going to forgive them. You was going to say, I'm going to stay mad. And madness is going to leave with you. I said, I'm going to stay mad, and madness is going to live with you. I got a right to complain, and complaining is going to live with you. Yes, get it out your system so it doesn't clog you up. Hello, somebody. Get it out your system so it doesn't corrode you, so it doesn't corrupt you. Get it out your system. Come on, talk to yourself, so get it out your system. But once it's out your system, let it be gone now and stop feeding into it. They're complaining. And now the complaining is lodging. Understand, this is the same term, this complaining term, this loom, this lodging, is the same term from Exodus 15 and 24, just before the bitter waters were made sweet. So just before this event happened, they were complaining already. They were complaining. And verse 24 says this, and the people complained against Moses, same word, loom, in the same tents, the people complained against Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" Now, those of us who knows the word knows what happened afterwards. But they were complaining before God moved. Okay. They were complaining before God moved. And a lot of us are lost in complaint because we don't understand that God is going to move on our behalf. Now, this would be somewhat understandable if they hadn't gone through 10 plagues already. This would be somewhat understandable if God hadn't brought them beyond the Red Sea where they thought they was going to die anyway. He had brought them over. It would be somewhat understandable, but here they are on the other side of the Red Sea, having been delivered from Egypt, and Pharaoh's army drowned in the Red Sea, right? Don't know what that has to do with Mary. But anyway, and they're complaining. They're thirsty. You're gonna let us just die out here of thirst. They're complaining. And what does God do? God has Moses strike the rock and the water comes out and the people go to celebrating again. And you would have thought that by now the people would understand that God is ready to move on your behalf if you could just wait on him. You're going to have us die out here in this wilderness. I'm waiting on my promise, but because the promise didn't come as quickly as I wanted to, it's been a month. I should have my promise by now. I'm talking about Israel. My promise should have happened by now, and it hasn't. So God can't be who he's, what? But we won't say nothing to God. We're a little bit smarter than that. So now we blame leadership. Now we blame the church. I'm sick of y'all. I'm sorry. No, I'm sick of y'all, for real. Not y'all, but you know what I'm saying, them folk, I'm sick of them. The church isn't doing this. Word. What you doing? If you hear from God that clearly, why isn't there a movement behind you? Oh, maybe because you need to hush and follow leadership. Anyway, Miriam, Aaron, shut up and listen to Moses before you get tore up. Anyway, but God put a leader in place. He put on his pants just like I do, but you ain't in his position. She put on her skirt or her pants just like I do, but you ain't in her position. And you upset because you ain't in that position. That's your real problem. Anyway, back to the text. Because you think you can do better, but you don't even hear from them like that. Anyway, that was a side note. Let me get back into what I'm talking about. But they're complaining, the whole congregation complaining against Moses and Aaron. God like, it ain't even y'all. They tripping. It's me. They tripping. All right, don't worry about them. They complaining. They complaining. What shall we drink? They complain. And again, that complain. Now, you would think that they would learn not to complain after the bitter waters, after this incident right here we're about to get into. And even after that, they're still complaining when certain folk brought back a bad report when they got to the promised land. Understand this, if you don't leave complaining now, you're going to be complaining when you get to the promise. Let me say it one more time. If you can't get complaining out of your system now, you're going to still be complaining even when you step in a promise. Because the first time that you hear something that ain't what you want to hear, you're going to start. Because you got the men of God saying, we can win this. God is on our side. How many times does he have to prove himself? But then you're going to have 10 folk talking about something we can't do it. It's giants in the land. That's how they sound to me in my head. You can laugh. It's okay. It's giants in the land, God. We look like grasshoppers. You better get in your Karate Kid stance then. You understand what I'm saying? Worried about, side note, stop worrying about how other people see you. And what you look like standing next to someone else. Because sometimes we measure ourselves against other folks. And we see the size differential. But God sees the heart differential. They're bigger than me, so. They speak better than me, so. They look better than me, so. Maybe. So, what you worried about them for? I keep telling y'all, comparison is a contraption of depreciation. That's all it is. You hear what I'm saying? But they're complaining over and over and over again. I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, departure from a place doesn't dislodge the psyche of it. Truth be told, we need a detox. Somebody say we need a detox. What is a detox? A detox is abstinence and good riddance of toxic substances. Let me say it again. It's abstinence and or good riddance of toxic substances. So what we have to do is we have to stay abstinent from toxic substances and understand that, yes, this ain't the way that I'm used to it happening, but God brought me out. Okay, this ain't what I wanted to be yet. You ain't got to lie to kick it. You ain't got to lie. This isn't what I expected, but God brought me out. And since I'm here, that means that he's going to take me a little further. I don't know where you're going to end up by the end of the day, but because you're here, God is bringing you further. Can somebody celebrate God? I don't know where I'm going tomorrow, but God has brought me this far. I don't know what's destined for me, but God has brought me this far. Because check this out. Check this out. This is something that people say. I saw it on a commercial. I was like, it's true. They were talking about depression and all the things that people say to you, how to deal with depression. Somebody has it worse than you. How does that help my situation? How did that help me? I feel for them. I got empathy for them, but I ain't them. Can somebody be real in this house? Say, I need a word that deals with me. So watch this. I'm not telling you when promise is coming. I'm just telling you that it's coming. Okay. I'm not telling you when promise is coming. I'm telling you that promise is coming. And if we can stand on and believe that promise is coming, when complaint comes to your mind, because it will. Just remember, you may not be where you want to be. You ain't got to lie about it. Just think about where you are and stop thinking about where you were. Okay, let me say it again. Stop thinking about where you've been and start thinking about where you are. I'm out of that situation. I don't know when I'm going to get to the situation I want, but I can celebrate God that, God, you brought me this far. God, Yahweh, you brought me this far. I got a little bit more to go, but can we celebrate God right here? God, you brought me this far. I want to be somewhere else. Anybody want to be somewhere else in their faith walk? Come on, be real with me. Anybody want to be somewhere else in their faith walk? You ain't in sin. If it's good, watch this. If it's good for you to desire to be a bishop, which is a position you may not be in, can you not desire to be a position that you're not in? I'm just trying to use biblical deduction here. So I can desire to be in a place, in a position that I'm not in and not be in sin. At the same time, let me appreciate where, what? Let me appreciate where I am. God, you brought me this far. You brought me this far. Stuff going on in my body, but you brought me this far. My family ain't doing what I want to do, but you brought me this far. I ain't where I want to be, but you brought me this far. Oh, don't kick it up. And when I was in trouble, you brought me over. Nobody but you brought me over. You got me this far. I don't believe you brought me this far to leave. Okay. We need a detox. We need to stay away from that stuff that causes us the complaints, because some of us know what drives up our complaints. Some of it's the people that we hang around. Every time you're around them folks, they start complaining, and what you start doing? You start complaining. I'm strong in the spirit, but every time you get around them folks, they start complaining, and you start complaining, which is spiritually strong self. I like to mess with all these believers. Because if you don't need no deliverance, what you still doing here? You should have. Y'all know what it is. Enoch. But you still here, so you got some stuff. You ain't perfect. You got stuff to deal with. You might not tell everybody. Here's another one, and I'm going to disrupt this in the next message. Some folks say, don't complain because ain't nobody listening. I'm going to give you a word that's going to change your whole mind. I'm going to disrupt your whole thought process. You can be like, what? 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 Because remember, nobody means nobody. Anyway, somebody listening. Anywho, well, we need a detox. We need a detox physically. Say amen. We need a detox mentally. Say amen. And we need a detox spiritually. Say amen again. We need a detox. We got some stuff in our system right now that's tearing your body up. You need a detox. You got some stuff in your mind right now that's tearing you up. Again, we could put on the front out here all we want to. But the reason why some of our witnesses is so weak is because we won't be honest about what we're going through. We need divine therapy. We need to be able to go to our Father. And sometimes our Father will send us to our leaders. Y'all remember that thing I was talking about in this morning? Confess your sins one to another? Yeah, the Bible says that. See, we don't do that now because we think everybody's judgmental. So you're defeating yourself with the tools that he gave you. I'll say it, I ain't never been scared of it. The only reason therapy works is because you believe in it. Unless there's actual medication. You talking to somebody and them telling you what they think is right for you to think. You took their advice because you believed in it. Because they had a degree. Do I need a degree for you to believe me? Is that what's going to happen? I need a theological degree. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying. Are you going to believe the truth or not? Are you going to believe the truth or not? You going to believe what's going to help you or not? You know, it's some people that could be alive right now if they would have listened to you need to stay off them streets. They'd be alive right now. Now, you don't know my life. I don't need to know your life. I know that life is killing you. You don't know nothing about me. Stop judging me. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Which one you want? You can stop doing that or you can keep doing it. You want to play dice with your life? Have at it, snake eyes. Anywho, let me get on with this. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom does not come by convenience. Hello, church. Hello, Nasarima. Y'all know I like to throw Nasarima out there every now and again. It's American backwards. More often than not, America, freedom comes through confrontation. How did we get our freedom as a nation? Confrontation. Okay. There's going to be some confrontation. Israel is traversing forward, but their thinking is backwards. They've been given their freedom, but all they can think about are the former things. All they can think about is these raggedy flesh pots, these Egyptian flesh pots. And when they ate bread to the full, y'all got to excuse me. I'm like, y'all tripping over sandwiches? That's me. That's my, y'all can toss that out. Just my eye. Y'all tripping over some sandwiches? For real? Okay. That was your problem? You just wanted a sandwich? Get this, the flesh pots are like comfort food. The flesh pots, I'm talking spiritually here, are like comfort food. It's what we feed ourselves to bring our stress level down. And when you upset, you go to your comfort food, your chicken. Be real. Get free of here. You upset, so your therapist becomes Popeye. Popeye's a sailor man. And he ain't got no bread on me. He a vegan. You talking to the wrong person. Come on now. But that's your comfort food. We go to what makes us feel good. Some of us come to certain churches because they make us feel. Some of us go to right churches but only want to hear a certain word because we just want to feel good. We want comfort food. Hello, Israel. I ain't talking about nobody but Israel. If Israel love comfort food. Love comfort food, don't they? It bring down stress level. Hit me on the medical level. It's dope. That's what's in the food. Dopamine is in the food that you eat. Is dope, and that's what brings your stress level down. You hooked on dope. And that's why we think ice cream is dope. And we think chicken is dope. You think them bonbons are dope. While you sit up there soaking in your sadness, popping bonbons. Still sad, but at least you feel good. Not out your situation, but at least you feel good. Nothing has changed, but at least you feel good. And we got to stop coming to church and hearing what we want to hear just so we can feel good, but nothing changed. So I might not give you a word that make you feel good. But if you listen, what you feed yourself will affect how you function. Period. Watch this. Over the long haul, and this is medically true. Over the long haul, habitual use of some comfort foods will lead to heart disease. Oh, sorry. Let me come back to spiritual realm. Over the long haul, it might not happen instantly, but over the long haul, and that's what this walk of faith is. It's a long haul, which is why you got to stop complaining because it'll become an Achilles heel and you won't be able to walk. And when you won't be able to walk, you'll be hurt. You'll be sitting on the sidelines, and what will you be doing? Look at comfort food. But over the long haul, if you continue to feed yourself this nonsense, it'll cause heart disease. Hear me in the spirit realm. And a lot of us are struggling in our faith walk because we got heart disease. Heart dis-ease. We're not comfortable. Okay. And we'll say something, he's getting me out of my comfort zone, but then you want to go sit on your couch and talk to Popeye. And you really just want it because it's a bunch of sugar in the skin. It's true. That's why you hooked to it. I just can't stop eating it because it's sugar in the skin. It's sweet flesh. Never mind. It tastes good. It make you feel good. But if you make it a habit, it'll kill you. The grease will kill you. Because sometimes, side note, sometimes they cooking fresh meat in old oil. And some of us are putting fresh meat into old. I'm sorry, let me get back to. And that's why we're not having anointed people, they just greasy. Listen close. A depreciated deliverance cannot satisfy a compromised appetite. I'll say it again. A depreciated deliverance cannot satisfy a compromised appetite. You've been delivered, but some of us don't appreciate it. Therefore, it's been depreciated. And so a depreciated deliverance, the deliverance itself is actually priceless, but it's how you look at it. They're not thinking about that. They just been delivered from Exodus. They're thinking about, we ain't got nothing to drink. They ain't thinking about, they didn't have to fight the Egyptians. They think about, we ain't got nothing to drink. They ain't thinking about that God really kept you out of a war that would have killed you or sent you back to bondage. But all they can think about is, I want some sandwiches. I want to put me back by, shouldn't you have left me by the flesh pots? I would have rather died on my couch than have to walk into the promise. I would have rather died sitting under bondage because I was familiar with it. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Emptiness, I'm almost out your way, I promise. Emptiness and or the idea of emptiness instigates exaggeration. Hello, Esau. Here's the truth. Here's another thing. Exaggeration is nothing more than an overfed lie. That's all it is. You were exaggerating. You overfed that lie. It was already a lie. You just kept feeding it. You know how the story goes? At first it was this big. The fish was this big. Next time you hear the story, it was this big. The next time they pulled in a whole whale. How the same fish keep getting bigger? Because the lie has to get bigger to support itself. It has to get more intricate until you get caught in the lie. Because eventually, if you keep lying, you will get caught in it. Okay. Whether in this life or the next. Okay? It's a deficit diet of deception. Let me move. Listen close. We must empty ourselves of our former selves. We must empty ourselves of our former selves. We need a detox. Spiritual detox requires a purging from the flesh pots. What do you mean? Fleshy appetites. What was so good over there in bondage that you want any part of it? What was so good about it? The feeling. The feeling. The feeling of what you fed yourself. I'm saying this for a reason. The feeling of what you fed yourself. We need an emotional eviction of the former things. I'm going to pull up right here. Satisfaction is only served in salvation. Satisfaction is only served in salvation. There's nothing in sin that you're going to feed yourself that's going to satisfy you. There's nothing in sin. Nothing. Eat it as much as you want to. It's never going to satisfy you. And here's the thing, and some of these shows are sad to me. I'm not picking on anybody that has disabilities and stuff that causes them, but I watch some of these shows where these people are grossly obese. And the people that love them keep feeding them. They ain't feeding them healthy food. They bringing them Popeye. The person can't even get up and go get stuff themselves. People are bringing it to them, telling them, I love them. There are some folks saying that they love us and all they're feeding us is nonsense. All they're feeding us is things that are going to bring us down. All they're feeding us is anxiety. All they're feeding us is depression. All they're feeding us is madness and rumors and gossip. Garbage. Satisfaction is only served in salvation. It's not served in nostalgia. I can literally go on a rant right now. Because memories are more pleasant than reality. You can twist the memory. Reality is right here in your face. You can act like it ain't there, but it's there. Anybody got some memories when you really think about it, it wasn't really that fun? I remember when I used to drink, it wasn't really that fun. It wasn't really at all. It wasn't. I had a great time. If I really go back and think about it, not so much. Okay, drinking one, you think, I ain't never drink. Okay, well, you was hoeing around and doing, and I'm talking male or female. And just because it doesn't show up in the medical report, don't mean it ain't showing up in your system. You wondering why you can't get your mind straight. You dealing with all them spirits. Because the two shall become one. It's a principle. But you can get delivered from it, but you have to be delivered from it. You understand what I'm saying? Anybody that's done anything, let's be real. That's why it's just better not to do it. Oh, I want to have experiences. Okay, you're going to have some experiences. You're going to be with somebody that's right for you, but can't get the wrong person out of your mind. Because what the wrong person used to do for you felt so good. Okay, I got to get back. You fed yourself that lie. You fed yourself that lie. It wasn't that good. I remember when you remember when he used to beat you too, though? I remember when you remember how he left you too? After he was through with you, you remember that? Was that good? He rocked my world. Yeah, he did. She rocked my world. Yeah, she did. That's why you can't love nobody right. Because your world's rocked. Okay. I'm talking about what you feed yourself. Been delivered out of abundance, but still thinking about how it felt. I hope this taught somebody. Not nostalgia, ladies and gentlemen. Not fantasy. See this, the provider will provide in due time. Okay, I know it's simple, but the provider will provide in due time. If he's brought you this far, do you think he's not going to provide this time? He got you out of Egypt. He's going to get you into promise, but let him provide in the meantime. Bottom line. When God delivers us out of bondage, he brought us out, he'll bring us through. He brought us out, he'll bring us through. We must be decisive, hear me closely, in keeping our cognitive distance. We need a detox. I've got to keep my mental distance from those things. I remember how it felt, but I'm keeping my distance from it. Because once you've experienced something, you ain't got to lie and act like you have it, because you have. What if God was sending us a word that would make us free for real? He just did. He just did. Because you may not be in that place, but some of us are still stuck in the mentality. And some of us won't admit that we're upset about our situation because we don't know what God's going to do next. God was about to do something great for them that was going to have greater implications later. But all they could think about was what used to happen. All they could think about is what they used to have. We used to have sandwiches in Egypt. They only kept us fed so that we could be strong enough to be slaves. They beat us enough to scare us, but not enough to kill us because you need workers. So I will beat you down psychologically, Israel, so that you can remain my slave. Oh, you ain't in Egypt no more, though. But you are here. The man ain't got you. Your mind has got you. They holding us down. Point them out. Point them out. Able-bodied people sitting down, doing nothing. But I deserve a check. How? 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 Oh, because you can push out babies. Oh, I'm sorry. Huh? Because you exist? What? A man who don't work. You like that free check because it's easy. But it's a system to keep you in bondage. It's a system to keep your people in bondage. It's a system to keep your children in bondage. It's a system so they never get free. I'm sorry, watch this. This country would have a very difficult time operating if they didn't have you in some form of captivity. Oh, I ain't scared of none of y'all. So now they got cancel culture to keep you in captivity. Shut your mouth. Freedom of speech? Shut your mouth. Hush. Let me keep you in bondage. Oh, I got your attention now, huh? Working like clockwork. Oh, and if I can't keep you with cancel culture, I just scare you to death. And if I can't scare you to death, well, I'll just leave you in debt. And if I can't keep you in debt, well, I'll incarcerate you. And if I can't incarcerate you, well, then I will make you sick. Uh-oh. He's in trouble now. Don't care. Don't care. If we're going to, and I'm not calling myself Moses, but if we as leaders are going to lead our people out, we have to tell them the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God. And personally, I'm sick of our people being in bondage. Mental bondage. The man doesn't have you, it's your mind. Stop feeding yourself these lies. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Nobody said that. Matter of fact, I can assure you it's going to be difficult. But if he brought us out, he'll bring us through. The provider will provide in due time. But deliverance is participatory. He brought us out. He gave us the Exodus. We've got to do the detox. There's a part 2 to this. Come back next week and hear the rest of it. Give God praise all over this place.